All right, so for this video, I am joined by some awesome company, and they are gonna help me count down what were our favorite soundtrack releases on records for 2020.
My number 5 is from Newberry Comics, and Newberry Comics, they like to reissue or put out their own variants. And mine is their transparent color with black and vinyl of The Witch. This is a really cool version of The Witch. It has lots of black and silver and white in that transparent, in that clear vinyl and spread, and it looks really cool. One of my favorites. And I think this is they tend to do pretty low numbers too, so this variant's only 500. So that's my number 5.
I would say my number 5 is The Social Network. So this was a repress of one that was released a number of years ago. It was very hard to find one for without selling a kidney, and it's just a phenomenal score that deserved. There we go. Thank you for the showing.
Well, I thought this may be a double. I was pretty sure this one might be on a couple of lists.
And I think there's going to be quite a few, to be honest, that will be doubles. But one thing, and I think, David, you've mentioned this in a few videos, is there's some records, there's just no frills. It's simple. It sounds great. It's a really nice pressing. Artwork is great. And it's just a phenomenal score. Like, it's one of the best scores of the last decades. And I was just excited to get it on vinyl finally.
Just seeing that was going to be released, because that's obviously something that you saw on Discogs and eBay, and you just waved goodbye because you're like, I'm never owning that because I'm never paying that.
It sounds so good. And I also have to say, based on this quality, I went and bought the soundtrack to Quake, and I haven't listened to that yet, but I love their boxes. And I don't know if you guys get weird about boxes too, but like, it comes in like this folding corrugated like double fold thing, so it like sits in the middle of a box, like pinned down, and I just think that's really nice.
So my number 5, I have Congilloner from Mondo. This is actually my favorite film score of the year. This is more of the music of it. The film came out on VOD on 2020, one of the few new films that I saw throughout the year. After hearing this, definitely the composer Emily Mosseri is, and I hope I pronounced it right. I'm sorry if I didn't, but he's definitely sort of like on my watch list of any new work he does. I just gotta see it. I first heard of him in The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and this was, I'm sure you guys have had this experience with a score or record that it's just one of those where I first played it and I heard it, and then I like just rinse and repeat 3 times because I just love the score so much. It was just like everything clicked for me. I heard the themes. It was so easily digestible in that sense. And then when I saw that it was coming on records, like, wow, that's amazing, and Mondo did their thing on the packaging and everything. So I'm just glad that those kind of records exist along with the Avengers and, the big things, but we also need these kinds of records too. So
I'm glad that we've got one already that I haven't heard of, because I'm hoping that'll be the other benefit, right? We've got a little bit of trading off that we can do here. This is from my old pals at Waxwork. This is Friday the 13th. This is part 7. And you got to give it to these guys. They're doing, I think they're going to do at least up until like when the movies kind of change hands from a different studio. I think it's all Paramount owns all the rights to these, but Waxwork is another one that releases just really nice quality. And I think they actually put out 3 different Jason Friday the 13th movies this year. And I think their color, I think the way they mix their colors too really stands out. So this is not, I'm not really recommending this as like high quality cinema here, but this is really iconic. Henry Manfredini's the composer, and he does that kind of that sound, and it hits on a lot of them. And so this is just one of the last ones from this year, and I think this is a cool licensing that they got for those movies. So that's my number 4, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood.
And then my number 4 is Casino Royale. So this is mostly just, I'm a huge James Bond fan, and obviously the scores are incredible. So they've released the Thomas Newman ones the last few years, and then obviously all the old ones are on vinyl. But there's that middle section kind of from GoldenEye to to Casino Royale, well, actually till Quantum of Solace, that they never released on vinyl. So finally, Casino Royale, probably one of my favorite Bond scores, done by At the Movies, which they do a phenomenal job on pressings. Like I love the quality. They often have like they even come with like a nice slipcase on their own. They're all individually numbered. They sound great, and it's just one of my most anticipated scores. I was really pumped to get it. Like I remember initially when Thomas Newman was given the reins, because like obviously with Sam Mendes, typically he works with Thomas Newman, so we kind of knew that it was going to go in that direction. But I was kind of upset when David Arnold didn't get the scoring gig, and even like going into the movie, I'm like, this is BS. But of course, I did love that score. But to me, David Arnold just like refreshed the franchise just in his work, let alone what like they did with Daniel Craig and the direction. But musically, he took it in kind of a reset direction, and I was really excited to see like where he was going with the character development. And I was hoping he would do the other ones, and I was really even actually hoping they would bring him on for No Time to Die. But nevertheless, very excited that final came on vinyl. I'm hoping they fill in the gaps and do the others at some point. I will definitely get those immediately if they come out.
Mark, I gotta say, you must be, from watching your channel, I gather you're a Hans Zimmer fan, so you must be waiting, eagerly for No Time to Die and see what someone like Zimmer can do with a character like Bond.
I am cautiously optimistic.
Have you guys heard that new Wonder Woman at all?
It's incredible. I love it.
Everybody says that. I can't wait for that to come out on vinyl. I'll definitely grab that.
It's a score that we need, and I like what they have done. I'll be making a video about it in the next few days, but I just like that it is a more uplifting, positive score. Especially DC has turned in a direction of like so dark and ominous, and like I'm okay with taking a break from that. It's such like a nice, triumphant, positive score, and it's a nice refresh for Zimmer as well from the last few years.
For my number 4, I went with Michael Giacchino's Novell Orchestra Travelogue from Death Waltz Originals. Personally, I'm a big fan of Michael Giacchino, the composer, amazing work. And when I heard he was doing like an original pseudo album, I was very excited. And then when I got it, obviously it's been a tough year for everyone. And I feel like the record, the music, like it just definitely sort of encapsulated sort of a lot of the feelings I was having throughout the year, and it just felt like someone just sending you like a hug throughout the record. It was such a great listen. But also from the packaging side of it, I was just blown away what Death Waltz Originals did with that. Even the inserts, the sleeves, they all have like so many details. The artwork was done by Henry Abrams, so the artwork from Henry Abrams was just gorgeous. Just like every inch of this release of the packaging is just covered with detail that just adds more to the story and of the music, because it's sort of like it is a concept album, and it just adds to that detail. So I was just blown away when I was already excited for the music, but when I got it, just the packaging and everything, the execution.
I love Giacchino, and frankly, I'm surprised I haven't bought it yet. I think because there was just so many releases out in a row that I'm like, I need to take a little break. But I think I'm not sure if it's still available, but I think I am gonna try to get that one.
It is still available. They have it both on CD and LP. And yes, it did came out at a time where it was like this, like October and all through like beginning of October and November, it was just like a stretch of like, oh my God, like it just keeps on pouring.
You had lots of pre-orders, right? Big pre-orders that I think were kind of delayed from the summer. Then you had those 3 record store days. Yeah. And, I had just a couple each time, but, once I'm out in a shop for real, I always go too far. So it was really brutal in the fall, for sure. Michael Giacchino too, and one of the things I was racking my brain about
was this year.
Was this year, or did I just order it this year?
I don't know.
Or it maybe it was pre-ordered in November and then it didn't show up till February. I can't remember.
That happens with the records. It's hard with pre-orders, but it might just be either December or January, right there. I can't remember.
I can't quite either, but for me, I know I didn't have this in my hands till about March. So This Is Lost, I should say it too. This Is Lost, we have to go back. This is a live concert from Lost. And, way back, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I was like, oh, I really want that. I'd love to get Lost, like even just season 1 on vinyl, and I was like, just total absence. And I was like, man, that's like, somebody do something, even if it's just like a double LP greatest hits, which I'll say, this is a nice placeholder until somebody does another set of like the legit recordings for the show. But what's really neat about this set is some of the storytelling that goes on in the live concert. And I forget the actor's name right now, but the guy who plays Hurley, he rolls through, tells a quick story. There's just a few moments like that where if you're a fan of Lost, it really was a cool tie-in and really humanized the experience too. Because I was kind of like, I'm because I can't get anything different. And I actually found the experience to be way more rewarding than I anticipated. And I think some of that little bit of storytelling really helped. So anyway, that's my number 3 is we have to go back, the Lost live concert.
I probably would have that in my list as well if I had thought of it, because I agree, like basically everything you said, like it's an incredible album. I would easily buy every single season as a box set, like even if it was $50 a pop or whatever, easily I would buy every season. Like the music is incredible. And kind of like you said, like I think that was a really good curated list of tracks that they chose. Like throughout the whole series, they have a nice bit of variety. I also enjoyed the storytelling, but I will say on like multiple listens, I'm kind of over that as well. Like I've already heard it. So like sometimes I just want the music. I had a similar experience with like the Hans Zimmer live in Prague, where I think I've got the Blu-ray and the LP, and on the LP, I think they cut out a lot, if not all of the storytelling, if I remember. So I like hearing it once or twice, but then once you keep hearing it, I kind of just like to hear the music, but still like an incredible set. If they do a volume 2, anything, like I will take any bit of Lost LP they release. Anybody release it, take.
I also think this set suffers a little bit from unnecessary lengthening. And I'm pretty okay with like 2-3 songs aside, flip, but I think this one could have been a 2-record set and it probably would have been okay. Or we could have put 1 or 2 more songs on, and I don't know how long that concert was or wasn't, but that I think I noticed that a little bit on this one too. There's a couple sides that are maybe 2, 4, or 5 minute songs that I think maybe they could have put a little bit extra in there. But yeah, that's definitely my number 3. Is that 3? I think that's my third.
I was going to say one thing is to add to what you were saying. I was sort of like, well, I was very excited, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily the most fan of live concerts or live recordings. But I will have to say, I was like you, very pleasantly surprised how enjoyable the experience was, because I feel like maybe that's sort of, I wasn't anticipated how well it translated to the vinyl format, where you're in it for like listening for the record and along her. So like the live aspect of it, like just every time I listen to it, just kind of like makes me feel like I'm transporting there a little bit, and sort of like I go along for the ride. So awesome pick. Yeah, that's an amazing release.
Completely agree, and I feel like I'm going to the symphony when I'm listening to this record. Like they're great performances, and it like you said, it does have that kind of immersive feeling that you feel like you're there, and I just like the whole packaging. I know we keep talking about this, but like that, incredibly well done. Like I like how there's the 3 different discs. They cover kind of different aspects of the show. They look incredible, and just Mondo is so good at just those little details that fans kind of can pick out and enjoy. So
yeah,
excellent. Number 3 choice.
It has a little bit of like pre added to the art, the ringware, just on the outside. And plus, I think that was one of the first TV shows too that I think for all the right reasons had a record player. Like featured, I think it's the beginning of season 2.
Season 2,
where he drops that needle, and I'm like, this show's for me. I was like, I knew I liked this show. And so, like, I just think keep them coming. Mondo, work on it. Call JJ, whatever you need to do. Keep those coming. Call Michael, make that happen.
I don't think this is a very shocking one, but the Avengers box set by Mondo again, like absolutely incredible set. You heard, if you saw my unboxing, there was that kind of initial surprise how it looked different, but I was not aware that they would look different necessarily than advertised, but like the set itself is incredible. The music is incredible. Like it's a set that I'm sure any like Silvestri fan would love to have. And I think it's such a nice culmination of all the music for the Avengers. I would say like overall, a lot of the MCU movies, I think some of the scores suffer, like they're kind of average or okay. And there are a couple of standouts, and that one just in particular was just such a great kind of finish to the series for me.
I'm so glad I picked it up. I was hesitant at first just because, I'm a hardcore fan of Silvestri. I'm not that familiar with those scores before then. So I was like, but every time I see it, like, I'm so glad I did not pass on it because it's just an amazing release. It's one of those that you have at your home and when someone comes by, you go like, you want to check something out cool? Like, check this out, and it's because again, that's what I feel like the vinyl format just allows so much. It's like that incorporating storytelling in the packaging, the 6 stones and the gauntlet, how it feels. It's just nice. It's just great.
I also thought that was the best deal. 6 records. I think it was $90. And I thought, if you were like on the fence, I thought 90 made it really reasonable for 6 LPs. And where the Mandalorian box set was 200, like for like, I think that was 8 or 9 records, right? So I think it was pretty easy to kind of go, well, that's why I'll do that for 90. If you're in for a penny, in for a pound reason.
That's a really good point. I was actually thinking something similar to that because, this year I got the Mandalorian and I also got the Batman Volume 2. And I was just thinking back, man, that Avengers was a steal. Like, I'm glad that, that was 95 because.
Yeah.
Don't mention it. Maybe they'll keep.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That price. Don't cut this. Yeah.
For my number 3, I have a release called Heart of Batman, and it's from Sound Machine Records. And I had never heard of this label, but this is one of those things where I finally, before the call, we were talking how horror fans just have, a bag of riches of things, so many things to pick up, stuff I've never heard and all that stuff. And I'm a huge Batman the Animated series fan. I love that show. Like I just, I have like a Batman behind me and all that stuff. I just love it. And this is as niche as I can ever get with this release. This is one of the things where I sort of had to like read the description twice to like, is this what it is? And it's the soundtrack for a documentary made about the Batman of the Animated Series. And I saw this documentary it's on YouTube right now. I think Warner Brothers just, it's like I don't know if it's a feature length, but it's definitely like on the 41 hour, range. It's like a full on documentary about Batman the Animated Series, and anyone who's a fan of it should watch it. But so this is the record for the music used, and it's by Makeup and Vanity Set, which is like a synth group. They do very synth driven music. They've done themes for podcasts, records on their own, but they're like electronic music. And so they use their music for this release. So I just like, you know what? I gotta have this for X or Y reason. I gotta have it. But here's the thing: when I received it, I was just really blown away by something you would think like it's so niche that you should just be grateful it's out there. But it has like the 5-star sort of like holy grail treatment. Like this thing is a great release. So anyone who's a fan of just Batman or Batman the Animated Series, it was a record store day release. So I don't know if it's still out there or not, but
I'm also a huge Batman fan, and that was the only thing I had on my record store day wish list, and I wasn't able to find it. So I'm still on the hunt. I feel like I could still track it down because I don't think there's too much like push for it, but
it was so niche that you can find it. You can find it. That's how niche it was. You can still find a record store day release.
This one I have been wanting a long time. The original, they only released in like I think Brazil, Spain, and South Korea, and that's Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. From I think this movie was like from 90, 91, 92, something like that. But this music is incredible. I also think that all the other sources that they have out there, the CDs and anything you can listen to digitally is really, really quiet. I don't know, the mastering on it's just terrible. I bought a 3 CD set from La La Land just 6 months ago that does a pretty good job. I'm still kind of waiting for that. I was still waiting for that pristine audio quality of this soundtrack. And this is great. Again, Mark, just like one of your earlier ones, I think Casino Royale, this is music on vinyl, their subprint at the movies. And this is the best colored vinyl. I think they are the best producers of colored vinyl out there from a pure audiophile perspective. I have a Westworld that's from them too that is just still years later. I put that needle down, I hear nothing. And I don't know what the deal is. I don't know how the production side works on that very much, but man, I really think they do a great job. So this is great. It's red vinyl. It's numbered. It has kind of a cool semi-matte finish, but then there are like the title and then that kind of triple face right here. The triple face right here is embossed and glossed. So it has some neat little attributes like that. And then I'm a sucker for in inner groove etchings too. And there's 2 quotes from the movie that are etched on the inner groove on this one too, which I think is a nice little touch. So that's my number 2.
You can't go wrong with music on vinyl. It's such a great label. That is exactly what I associate with them. It's just quality. Every time you buy something from them, it's just pure audio quality. It's great. They actually, I'm trying to hunt down Man of Steel. They released it on music on vinyl. That was like out of print from Water Tower Music and was going very high. So that's now out there, and I'm so excited that they were the ones that did it.
I am a self-professed Mondo fanboy. So some caveats to my list is I just ordered The Mandalorian a week ago, so I haven't received it. It's in the mail, so it's on its way. So I presume it likely would have topped my list. I also got Batman, the box set, but I haven't opened it yet, so I'm going to do an unboxing of that. So again, I can't speak to those 2. Those might have been on the list, but my recently featured Tron Legacy, they did an incredible job with that. The detail on the jacket, I love the die cut design. The work by Matt Taylor was phenomenal. And I did get the 2 releases of Tron. I love them both, but like that release by Mondo is just like, it's such a special piece, and it's such a great score too, again, by Daft Punk. It's one that like I forgot how much I liked it until I started listening to it again. And it's so endlessly listenable. Like it's one of those like you could finish and flip right over. And it was just such a nice package. So I was delighted with that one.
Yeah. If there's such a thing, I think that was like one of the soundtrack record moments of 2020, the whole Mondo Tron release. Cause talk about anticipated, like if there's a score that people love, it's that one. Everyone loves it. It's amazing. And then obviously, getting that, when everyone saw that record, getting that treatment, and we was like jumping on it, So yeah, I missed out because unfortunately for work, something pulled me up, but I saw that, if anyone listening this and also missed out, I think they're releasing in January or February, another round. So
a repress,
I really liked the subtlety of the slipcover. And it's really in movie. It's very, if you were walking by it and it's not like the other cover, which I think is the same as the original. Got the Record Store UK one looks like the original, right? Which I love too. But that was a great set. So do you have from Record Store Day 6-7 years ago, they made little discs, like 3 different colors.
Oh yeah, I saw those on Discogs.
Yeah, if you got, I had one, and I swapped it with a buddy for, God, I can't even remember. Probably something that, but I swapped it for something, and I always think about those because I was working at the record store then, and we had 20 copies of each color. And I grabbed one. The guys were getting all 3. They wanted all 3 colors. And I wasn't into Daft Punk then. It wasn't until Random Access Memories came out that really they clicked for me. And then I was like, oh, shit, I got to work backwards now. And then I just found all this great music. So
I have Nightmare Before Christmas from Mondo, and this is one of those where I've waited years for it. You know, it's one of those that it's like in my top 10 of favorite films. It's one of those where you kind of like, when everyone asks you like, oh, what would you wish you would have on record and all that stuff. Nightmare Before Christmas was up there. And yes, I did had like, there is on a Walt Disney Records release that I had previous to that, but it's kind of your average record release. So I was always hoping someone would just give it sort of like that special treatment that, you know, fans of the vinyl format love, which is the things that make the format really a really cool thing. And then, boy, did Mondo deliver with this release. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is even better than I imagined. I was so excited. They used the artwork from Tim Burton, the original one, and it looks so great. The colors way for the records came out insanely great. It was also like such a great experience. You know, they sort of had a great system where just one record per person. They had a really good amount. It was such a, you know, one of those positive experience where everyone was just happy that they got one. And it was such a positive experience.
I got one, and I'm not particularly here nor there. And I thought, well, I think I'll just grab one. And then it turned out a friend of mine missed it. So I had it, and I was like, hey, I've got this. Like, just let's figure this out. I'll get it to you. And we ended up doing a big swap because he got a bunch of other records that had a bunch of soundtracks in it. And so we just traded for it straight out. So that I feel like that was me being very, very Christmas oriented by passing that along.
I think the soundtrack community, to say that, like, we have there's a couple of groups. I think we're all part of those. But it, like, compared to other hobbies, it is remarkably positive compared to like other hobbyist groups where people, like, even vinyl in general, like, people can be snobby or whatever, but like within that kind of subsection of soundtracks, like, people are trying to help each other out. When a new release comes out, everybody kind of tells each other about it after, of course, they get their own copy. I'll admit I do the same, but and like, even like tracking stuff down, like, people go out of their way to help each other out, which I think is awesome.
So I think I'm gonna say Thief by Mondo. And I'm also going to kind of tie that to Michael Mann in general, because Heat came out for the first time on vinyl, but it was also, I looked it up. This one I did look up, and it was December of 19. Thief, I'm putting on the list because I didn't know anything about it. I've ignored Tangerine Dream most of my life, so I didn't have much of an idea of even what it sounded like. I watched the movie for the first time before it came, and I was kind of like, okay. And then magically, I was in a record store, and I find a white label promo of the original Thief soundtrack for like $6. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to grab this. And then I start listening to it. And like day 2, I was like, oh my gosh, this is blowing my mind. Then the next day, Mondo shows up in the mail. And that presentation, it's got a die-cut diamond cover. It has a beautiful, what they call blowtorch vinyl. So the middle is like this chunk of white, and then the outside is this translucent blue, and then there's all these Technicolor like sparks in the splatter that come out from the center. The label looks like the turning of a safe, and so I it's kind of the gestation of surprises in vinyl. And surprises in music, and I think it's a good example of sometimes music outside of the movie experience can pull me into the movie. Because now, of course, I've got the Criterion like sitting in my wish list on Amazon. I watched it 3 more times since then, and now I'm like, it's just rising in my list. So that's for a couple of reasons. That's kind of convoluted story. But for a couple of reasons, that's why I'm putting Thief number 1.
It might be a little bit of the recency effect. And I do have a video in the works that I'm going to be talking about this in extensive detail, but the Total Recall soundtrack by Quartet Records. So this was a gorgeous pressing that just came out. This is a 3 LP, and the first 2 records are the extended edition of the soundtrack, and then the third being the original soundtrack. And so that extended edition is it's basically the 25th anniversary release that Quartet did on CD 5 years ago. And I believe that is remastered. It has a lot of cues that just haven't been available for a long time that I've always loved. And the original always sort of felt incomplete because there's just a couple of sort of key missing cues, but those are ones I always really enjoyed. So I'm glad that they were able to get those on there. And then I love the artwork. So even for like the front cover, they went with like, it's very simple. It's kind of similar to like some of the additional original promotional artwork for the film. And then they had this print that came along with it for the insert, which is just this gorgeous, I don't know, painting or whatever it is, but it's such a gorgeous piece of art. Like I would consider framing it. Like it looks awesome. And it's just such a nice kind of addition. And then the insert is great. There's a lot of great info there about the film. It's just a nice overall package. And simple black vinyl, sounds incredible, and it's a score again I've wanted forever. Like it was released originally in the early '90s, but it's very hard to track down a copy of that. So that was a repress I've been waiting for.
I have Bride of Frankenstein from Waxwork Records. I love Waxwork Records. I love their releases. I don't always get to enjoy them because I'm not the biggest horror fan. But this one was one when I just saw it, it just like blew me away. Phantom City Creative is one of my favorite artists. And when I saw this record, you know, the packaging of that is just insane. It's like, Mark, what you were saying, like, I just want to look at it. I just want to frame it because it's so great. Phantom City Creative just knocked it out of the park. The colorway of the record just also matches perfectly with the design. And obviously, you know, Waxwork Records, the quality of their packaging, especially their gatefolds are just, I love them. They're so sturdy. They're so great. And yeah, it's one of those records where it's just, I love holding it. I love seeing it. I love listening to it. And yeah.
Are you a fan of that movie too?
Oh yeah. It's, you know, and also in the film history sense, I think it's one of the first films that also started using leitmotif with characters. I think King Kong with Max Steiner was the first one. And then also Franz Waxman. And he was also like one of the first couple of films that started using music to identify characters with leitmotifs and all that stuff. So this also has like a special place in that in the film history music kind of sense. But also it's, you know, that sort of classic Hollywood sound that I just also adore too. Well, Mark, David, thank you so much for joining me, and please make sure to subscribe and check out Popcorn Vinyl, Mark's channel, and The Vinyl Score, David's channel. And thanks again for watching. See ya.